Hey guys, God is on Fire Tower 128. Really don't know what I'm finna to do here with this reading. I I've been feeling very blah today. I almost feel like it has to do with my personal ascension and me trying to reconcile with feelings that I'm still trying to heal, that I'm still trying to deal with on a unconscious level, because I can't honestly say what it is that I feel like I'm healing at this moment. And then the sun gets brighter. So the sun energy, what is that? Leo could be significant. Well, I mean, if that's the case, I feel like I've dealt with that situation, but Mercury retrograde, typically, you see how dark, I mean, the sun just disappeared. During Mercury retrograde, kind of shakes things up, put you in a position, especially now, to deal with some emotions that you didn't even know you were still dealing with or you need to deal with. And as I'm saying that, Love the Way You Lie is on. And that definitely reminds me of a past energy, a past relationship. I've only had really three significant relationships in my life. Um, and it reminds me of a post I read about, you know, I've been in, I guess, in love three times. The first was in high school, and that was, like, I guess, my first feeling of love. The first time that it was actually my first, well, no, second boyfriend, but the first one I don't really count because I didn't really like him that way. I think I was just excited to, have a boyfriend. I went to an all girls high school, so, and my parents are kind of strict in terms of like allowing me to just be out, hanging out in the street and stuff. So, my first real boyfriend, that's who I went to my prom with, senior prom. And we were together for, was it a year before we broke up? And then my second love was my ex, who played a very significant role in my life in terms of a lot of different things. We did a lot of first things together. And I mean, I actually thought that that was going to be that person. But Love the Way You Lie reminds me a lot of that relationship. And my third relationship, a boyfriend, was with my husband, who is not my boyfriend anymore, but my husband. And we've been together for maybe 16 years in November. So, maybe, I know my ex is no longer here on this plane of existence. And I know that in that particular connection, I went through a lot of ups and a lot of downs. It was a lot more downs than ups. And it was actually in that relationship that I started to dabble a little into spirituality, but it didn't go as far as it should have because I allowed someone's opinion of what it is I wanted to do to taint the way I felt. Because I was always very torn back then about spirituality and religion. And not that I was into church, but my whole family is very much into church. So I worried about what they would think. I worried about if I was going to go to hell. Like, I was always very conflicted about that. I never felt very comfortable in church. although while I was there, I always felt very connected and emotional. Like I would cry and rock, and I felt like maybe that was the spirit. On my phone, that was spirit talking to me, and it was spirit talking to me. But as I've grown in my spiritual journey, I realized that that also had to do a lot with me being an empath and able to feel the emotions of other people. So it was also during that relationship where I felt how well I can write, because in the very bad times in that relationship was when I wrote some of my most impactful poems, even stories. I had once thought about dabbling in songwriting, um, but I wrote a lot of stuff, and I realized also that because of my my skill of being an empath, I realized that my emotions play a great part in how I alchemize or manifest. So when I'm in pain, and when I'm sad, and when I'm extremely happy, or just extremely in love, then I write the most impactful pieces. And it was during that relationship that I experienced a lot of pain. I experienced a lot of betrayal, and I experienced a lot of deception. And I don't put that on anyone, because I think people don't like to take accountability for their part in things. And I stayed in that relationship for a very long time, longer than I should have. But it was in that pain that I was able to grow. It was in that pain that I was able to evolve. It was almost like the catalyst for my spiritual awakening. It was in, as a matter of fact, my spiritual language, I first started to develop it going through a very difficult situation with my ex and his karmic. Anyway, so someone who I was a friend at the time, who I thought was a friend at the time, I went to this person to talk, and she was very much into church. Still is, I believe. I'm not really sure. But it was then that I went into church. I was very emotional. Like, we sat in her car, and I talked and cried my eyes out for like an hour. And she was really trying to get me into the church. And again, like I said, I'm not really a religious person, but from sitting there so long, I eventually had to go to the bathroom so bad that I couldn't hold it. So when I went into the bathroom, I came out, and there were 3 ushers, I guess they were, and they surrounded me. And you know how they are getting you to talk, or to, they were just like, thank him, thank him. And I just started saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then all of a sudden, here comes my spiritual language. And it was such a crazy experience, because it was like I could hear myself speaking, and I knew my mouth was moving, and almost like I was looking at myself go through this. And I cried through the whole thing. But it was just, at that time, I'm thinking, oh my God, like I'm talking in tongues. What the hell? Like I didn't put a lot of, not that people don't do that, but it just seems that is intentional and not just something that comes out from the spirit. So That was the first time I ever did it. Then the second time was after his death. And at first I was like, I have to be in church for this. I had to have people around me. But this time was in my apartment. And I did the same thing. I just started saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I started speaking again. And I was like, oh, wow. And I want to say that was the day that his spirit came to me. So I think it was. Because I woke up out of my sleep and I saw him standing in my doorway. And I was like, no. So then I rubbed my eyes to make sure it was because I wasn't asleep, or maybe I was still dreaming or something. And I sat up and I looked, and he was standing there just looking at me. So the spiritual language thing, so up until that point, I had only done it twice. And then a few years ago, 4 to be exact. Oh, adesso tengo piano, che the photo c'era. At the weekend of my anniversary with my mister. It was it was during adult activities that it happened, and it happened to be like a full moon that night as well. So it was like extra crazy because we're doing adult things, and all of a sudden I'm like just running off at the yappers, and he's looking like, what the hell is going on? And we had started our journey by that point. We're just getting on the way of consciously acknowledging that's what we were doing. Well, I believe all of our lives, my husband and I, that we've been in that energy, but just not conscious of it. So now I talk at will. It's just anytime I want to, I can have a conversation with my ancestors, with the divine, with whoever's listening. And I don't even know how I got to this point in the conversation. But yes, my spiritual language is very important to me. My kids are used to it. The husband is used to it. And I was afraid to do it in front of other people because I didn't want them to think that I was crazy. Because other than my spiritual language, the only other language I know is English. So I think people might think that I'm faking it or something. I'm really not, though. But so it's there for a reason, right? I'm supposed to utilize it. Sometimes don't. Not that I don't know what I definitely. All right. So not that I don't know what I'm saying. So I have an idea, but I can't really pinpoint it. Initially, when it became so fluent, it was so fluid that I couldn't catch myself, and like I would be in a supermarket and somebody would pass me and do something that I thought was rude, and then with the sofita no chera, and it doesn't bother me though now. Before, I think someone told me that I should be careful, that people would think I was crazy or something. But I don't feel crazy. I don't know why I should. I don't think I sound crazy. I don't think I really listen to myself. The first night though was super crazy when it reappeared with my husband, because it was uncontrollable. Like I was just talking and crying, and I was having a conversation with someone. I know I was, because it was like, it felt like an argument. It felt like an argument. So yeah, but I say all that to say it's something that I need to heal, and I'm pretty sure it still has to do with some lingering feelings or some lingering healing that I need to do with regard to my ex. We went through a lot. and it was very hard to deal with. Even I'm a very emotional person. Like, I feel a lot. I don't feel just my pain. I can feel anyone's pain. I even feel the pain of people who are not so kind to me. And it was crazy. Like, even when he passed, his I felt bad for I felt really bad for his family. I felt really bad for his daughter, um, even her mother, and we have not a good we didn't have a good relationship at all. But I felt bad for her, that she would have to raise her daughter without her father. Like, I couldn't imagine what that would be like or what that would feel like. And if I loved him as much as I did, then the people around him, like, I couldn't even imagine the shit that they felt, especially his daughter and her mother. She was very young when he passed, so she didn't even get to know him, get to experience him fully. Like, I would imagine, like, I felt bad because he would miss all those firsts. She would miss all those firsts with him. It was, that makes me feel sad to this day. But, so yes, so there's some type of healing. Maybe I just needed to do this video and get some stuff out, just to speak my mind and speak my thoughts. Maybe I just needed to talk it out. There was a time where it was around April of every year after he passed that I just got this feeling of gloom around me. And this lasted until August, which was his birthday. So I would have this feeling of gloom. I would always hear songs that resonated with us. We did that a lot. We listened to a lot of music. Music was a big part of our relationship. So a lot of my messages with regard to him would come in the form of music, especially songs. Songs that were very significant as well. And it would make me feel some type of way. So I know within my healing process that I am on the right path, because that hasn't happened since I started cutting cords, energetic cords, since I started to acknowledge that I was still holding on to him, and not him necessarily, but the fantasy of him, maybe. I'm not sure. But now, like I said, those songs don't bother me like that. I don't cry. As a matter of fact, right now, because of his energetic tie to me, I have him cast away in this house behind a door, because he would still, his energy would still come through. But I'm not allowing that anymore. That is a no-no. But yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to end it here. I think I've spoken too much about myself. But I appreciate everyone listening. I'm going to one day tell the story about me and my mister too, because it seems like our story was kind of written in the stars. It's just so many things that link us together, so many synchronicities. It's like, really, even the fact that, and I'll leave you with this. My ex was killed in Irvington, New Jersey, and we didn't live in Irvington. Well, at the time I did, but he didn't live in Irvington. As a matter of fact, him and my husband who was not my husband at the time, both lived in the city that I grew up in, that we all grew up in. And my ex died in Irvington, New Jersey, and was shot. And my now husband, who I didn't know at the time, it was around the same summer, I want to say, that happened, that my now husband missed getting shot at. And it wasn't, they were shooting at the group of them and not him in particular, but he missed getting shot at and killed because of a steel door closing behind them. But it was in the same area that my ex had passed away in. And again, they both did not live in Irvington, New Jersey. So that's like, it's very crazy. Almost like, not that they traded places, but kind of like they traded places. I don't know. But that's just one crazy synchronicity with regard to me and my husband. It's like our parents and their birthdays, like both sets of our parents' birthdays are like days apart. It's like, it's so much more than that. Than it's really crazy. Even the way we got together is kind of crazy. I'm so very thankful for that man, though. He came into my life when I needed him to, and helped me evolve into the person that I am right now. So I really appreciate him more than words could ever say. Okay, so I've gabbed on enough. I hope this is helpful to someone. It'll give you a little a little insight into me and who I am, and not just the hands behind the camera. But yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for thank you. Have a great day, guys.